Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 2 of Revell's Grease Lightning 48 Ford. Scale is 1 to 25. In part 2, I am beginning the build, so I'm starting off with the engine block, then the framework, and putting it all together. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. To begin with, I'm using Tamiya's X13 Metallic Blue, and I'm going to be painting the carburetor here and the air filter. Now the instructions call for this just to be black, but I thought doing it a different colour so it stands out would be a little bit better. Parts of the main engine are also painted in this colour as well. And then it's Revell Aquacolor 91 steel, and that's for the rear part of the engine. And for the rest of the engine it's X32 titanium silver by Tamiya. Now again, with this colour, it's not the colour it was called for, but the titanium silver, once it dries, it sort of looks like a good galvanised metal sort of colour, which I think is perfect for an engine block. I could be wrong, but I like it anyway. I'm using Life's Colour Black and Rubber 1 Black UA734, and this is for the fan belt. I know the main components are painted and dry. It's time to place everything together. So first of all, the engine block two halves get joined. Next are the cylinder heads. There's one on each side. And then the manifold cover goes in between. And now I can put on the exhaust manifolds. And on goes the front of the engine. And then the distributor goes on. Once that was dry, I was able to put on the fan belt. There's a little generator cylinder that sits in behind the fan belt into the engine. Now, I found that easier to place it in after I put in the fan belt. It just allowed for a better fit when I was guiding it in. In the end, I changed back the carburetor to Revell Aquacolor 90 silver, just to give it a bit of bling, really, and kept the air cleaner in the blue colour, just to again give it a bit of contrast. So that's the carburetor just gone on now, and now I'm placing on the starter motor, and then I was able to place on the actual fan. And then once that was all done, I was able to put the air filter on top. And just a little bit of touch up of paint where it's come off from the sprues, and that's the engine belt. And I have to say the blue colour really does stand out on this engine. So now onto the exhaust, and for the middle part I'm using Revell Aquacolor 99 aluminium, and the main part is 90 steel by Revell Aquacolor. So and that's the two main colours I'm using for the exhaust. Moving on to the frame, and it's getting painted in Revell Aquacolor 08 matte black. I'm using the same colour to paint the brackets on the exhaust as well. For the suspension leaves, it's Tamiya's XF84 dark iron. Not the colour it's calling for, but I quite like the dark iron colour from Tamiya for things like suspension leaves and movable parts and things like that. When it dries, it gives off a rich, dark, mechanical look. Then moving on to Mr. Hobby H38 Steel Red Metallic, and this is for the wishbone part of the suspension system. It's also the same colour I'm going to be using for the majority of the movable parts underneath the car as well. Has things like the front axle, which I'm painting at the moment, with the same colour. And then it's Revell Aquacolor 91 steel, and that's for the back plates of the braking system. And it's back to Tamiya X13 metallic blue for the shock absorbers. I can begin building it now. So first of all, I'm placing on the exhaust. The exhaust rests on certain location points throughout the frame, so it's quite easy to line up. That then gets closed off with the central piece to act as a crossbar. I did have to clamp this down in the end to make sure I got a proper fit. It was just the shape of it. I could have held it for about 5 minutes or so, but clamping was the better option. Next time, placing the axle together, so just the lower and top half going on. Then the brake discs go on to them. Next to go on is the steering box. This was quite difficult to fit. I really should have fitted this before joining everything up, I think. The brake master cylinder is next, and that just sits on one of the main cross beams. Attaching the wishbone suspension system to the axle was fairly easy. The location point is right at the end of the axle, and that just fits into it. And the other part just sits within the groove of where the actual suspension leaves are. And once it was all dry, I was able to fit it. Easy enough to fit. You just have to make sure that you get it the right way around, and it goes in from the back and not the front. So in order for the drive shaft to fit within inside the frame. The wheels were easy enough to put together. Just have to be very careful with the chromed parts. Not so much on the wheel hubs, because the bit you're taking off the sprue will leave a little bit of bare plastic. However, a lot of kits now are designed for this to be hidden when you're building the kit. But just bear that in mind when you're taking them off. If you are using cement, you will have to take a little bit of the chrome off as well, because it will not bond otherwise. So I'm just taking off a little bit of chrome for the plastic component to fit onto these chrome components. And once that was done, it was just a simple case of sandwiching the two parts together and then pushing in the wheel hub into the actual wheel itself. So there wasn't any great issue building these wheels up. As you can see, they look quite good. So next is to place the shock absorbers where the axle and the brake discs are. Each wheel has its own shock absorber, although the front ones do differ from the rear. Next to go in is the stabilizing bar, and that just fits in between the axle and the suspension leaves, and then the wheels can be fitted. And now I'm repeating the entire process for the front, so I won't go through it all because it's exactly the same as the one I've just made up. The only main real difference is this front tie rod that gets placed in. I'm using Mr. Hobby H38 steel red metallic, and this is for the frame of the radiator. And then it's Tamiya's X32 titanium silver for the main body of the radiator. And for the top of the radiator it's 90 silver by Revell Aquacolor. Now the paint's dry, I can make up the radiator, and the two pieces just get placed on top of each other. Next is to fit the connecting arms or horses, as the instructions call it. Now I put these on initially here like this to make it a little bit easier. In the end, it wasn't that much easier placing them on here before connecting it all to the engine. If you do this kit, it's entirely up to you how you do it, but you may want to try fit a couple of times just to see how well you get on. So the radiator gets connected to the front part of the fan via these connectors. The two top ones go into the location points at the bottom of the radiator, and then the two longer ones go directly onto the engine itself. And once I had them more or less in position, I was able then just to bend down the main connectors to connect onto the the engine block, I should say. As I said, it took a little bit of work just to get these lined up and placed in, but it is worth doing. So once that was done, I was able then to fit the engine block onto the main frame. And that was a fairly simple process. It just connects right into the axle. I had to open up the hole a little bit for the axle to fit in, but apart from that I had no issues. So as I'm fitting it, this is where I'll end part 2. once I get the engine in place. As you can see, there's still a bit of movement there. If you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you've subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell to be kept updated. Hit that like button, leave a comment, and don't forget to share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.